So I'm Tom McLeish. I'm co-investigator with Giles Gasper of the Ordered Universe project. I'm a theoretical soft matter physicist studying complex fluids at Durham University, where I've also been Pro-Vice Chancellor for research for the last 6 years. I've stopped doing that now. But Giles, I think, has already said that was it was under that auspice that we got this very interdisciplinary project going. And I'm also chair of the Royal Society's Education Committee at the moment. So do all sorts of science, all sorts of places. Why would a scientist, why would a physicist be involved in a project looking at 13th century medieval intellectual history when he or she could be spending the time doing more science? It's a very good question. But I think there are three big answers to that. One is that I'm a scientist, as many of my colleagues are as well, who are passionately interested in where our science comes from. What's the intellectual history of thought that leads us to the big questions we're asking now about the structure of the universe, about the structure of the atom, about the behavior of complex materials, about the origin of life, and are delighted when we discover that these big questions have been entertained, grappled with by great thinkers for centuries and centuries and centuries, right actually into the ancient world and possibly even beyond. And one of the delightful things about my recent professional life has been this discovery that that science is deeply human, as deeply human as art or music or any other aspect of culture, and that one long strand of evidence for that is that it's very, very old, or at least that science is, I like to put it this way, that perhaps science is the name we give to the current chapter of a book that humankind has been writing for centuries and centuries and centuries. So engaging with this medieval mind, Grosseteste 800 years ago, is one staging post, if you like, on that journey, and that in itself is fascinating. The second big reason is a delightful and extraordinary surprise, and that is that by engaging with Grosseteste and other 13th century, High Middle Ages writing on light, on cosmology, on colour, on sound, every time we as a collection of scientists do this, we go, there are a number of interesting questions that this treatise that Grosseteste thinking gives rise to, not only historical questions about how he was thinking, but real questions about nature that we can ask afresh now. So we have, out of this project, a series of science publications alongside the, if you like, humanities editions of the text, which are tackling new science questions. Just one example of this is how the rainbow, or all possible rainbows, all the colours you could generate from any conceivable rainbow, how much of possible colour space, all the possible colours we might detect, does that cover? No one has done that calculation ever, but it's one thing that we were led to do by looking at Grosseteste's work on the rainbow. Just one example of how new science comes out of, it sounds strange, but collaborating with this 13th century mind. I can't get away from the fact that I feel as if we're working with a 13th century scientist and arguing with him and getting new ideas from him and trying to work out what he was saying. I suppose the third reason for why I'm doing this project is rediscovering the foundation of human academic endeavour. I think we often are led to believe that our very fragmented disciplinary world is what counts, but in these workshops, in these activities where historians, philosophers, the textual experts, the Latinists, the theologians, the scientists, the mathematicians, we have engineers, when we're thinking about sound, when we're all around the table, all looking with our co-equal expertise and gifts we can bring to this, I think we all get the experience we're rediscovering where the core, if you like, or the foundation of academic life is all about. How really there's only one quest, there's only one unified goal to think through what it means to be human, what it means to live in this world, what it means to discover the extraordinary human aptitude and to use it of delving beneath the subject of the world around, the structure of the world around us. It's a unified task, and we all have a part to play. And for me, the great richness of that is discovering the unity of academic life, and also how that isn't isolated like some sort of ivory tower bubble, that everyone gets excited by this. It's also a gift from the universities, if you like, to people at large, and all the public engagement of the project has told me, and really delighted me, reminded me that everyone is interested in where their roots come from, whether those are roots of thought or roots of community, and where our thinking can go to.